Okay, so these are Maria's images. For this one, it looks like everything's in focus, so that's a long depth of field. Uh, I would crop maybe. I don't think we need this little piece along the bottom here, so maybe just crop so all we see is everything moving into the edge there. Maybe a little bit more contrast. All these look very, very gray. I like these lines lead you into it. Yeah, not a bad image. Okay, this one, good lines that lead to the back. Definitely a large depth of field, foreground's in focus, all the way back to that sign is in focus. I would normally say that this is very busy and there's a lot going on, but I think because there's all this down here in these lines and this bright white that I look here and instantly my eyes go here and down the path, and I want to know what's down that path. So that's good. Try, if you ever do another one with a bridge on it, think about being kind of symmetrical, maybe standing in the exact center, so we have as much room here as we have on the other side. I think it's a decent image that you did here. Okay. Um, Again, this one seems like everything's in focus all the way from the wood here through your backpack. It's a nice still life image, the way you positioned everything and the story that you made from it, from your pencils, your backpack, and the sketch pad, and obviously you have an iPod or some sort of music player. So it's a good setup of a still life. I wish the whites were a little bit brighter. I think it might be a little bit underexposed. It might be my monitor, but it does seem a little bit dark all the way around. So maybe bring up the lights a little bit. Okay, this one, everything's in focus. I don't know if we have any with the shallow depth of field, so go back and make sure you accomplish that for this assignment. This one's, I guess, similar to the one with the bridge. I think I like the bridge one maybe better than this one, but everyone's going to have their own opinion about it. Um, yeah, it's not bad. It worked on the rule of thirds a little bit. I think you might be able to crop out a little bit right on the side of this to move the path over for a little bit more of that third, but it's good. We have all those textures in the sky like we talked about with that first assignment, that some of the skies can turn out really blown out and white, but it's not bad. Okay, so we'll look at our last person. I think it's Victoria. Okay. Okay, so for this image, for some reason, it seems like nothing is in focus, and I'm not sure why, because I looked at the shutter speed earlier, and it is a fast shutter speed, so everything should have been captured. But this looks a little soft, this does, and in the background. Now, this was intentional, and however you did it, as far as it kind of gives it like an old school feel or an old camera feel. That's fine. So that works for it. Um, it gives it some story, historical society and the building there. You filled the frame and everything. I think it's a nice image, but just think about, did you make everything soft or out of focus on purpose, or was that an accident? So just so you know how you're doing it in the future. This one I really like. There's a lot of story here. I'm assuming some sort of wedding rings that go with it, and the Bible and religion. That's great. You got that shallow depth of field. And here you said large depth of field, and you might have just written it opposite, but this is in focus and everything else falls out of focus. This would normally be a very, very busy background that would take us away from what we have in the foreground, but because we put that out of focus, we don't even care about it. It's just a gray. So I think that works really nicely. Yeah, we'll just move on to the next one. I think that's a good image. And the next one, okay, this one with the flower. And again, here you say shallow depth of field, but it seems like everything's in focus. From these kind of clover-looking plants back here to this to this, there's a lot going on here. So I think you could actually crop in, maybe straight across there, or maybe down a little bit, so we're just more focused on that flower. Maybe contrasty, but all this area is just so gray that there's a lot going on. This bright brings this out so we see it a lot more. but I think we could change that up a little bit somehow. Okay, so perfect example of a shallow depth of field. Books and words are done a lot for shallow depth of field assignments, and every time they surprise me, and they're great things about them. Of course, you can see right through here is what's in focus, and everything else falls out. It's a nice contrast to it. I think, in my opinion, I like the one before this than this one, without taking any words into consideration. Just kind of the composition of it and the contrast of it. But both are very, very nicely done. You accomplish a shallow depth of field nicely. Good work on these two. All right, so y'all let me know if you have any questions about any of these, and I'm happy to talk to you. Call me, Skype me, send me an email, and I'll speak with you soon.